Bakugo, let's make some fried chicken sandwiches, shall we?
バクゴくん包丁使うのうま意外やわ意外ってなんだから包丁にうまい下手なんざねえだろ
Were you guys paying attention? Bakugo has some skills. Big shout out to Just Say & Co for sending me some of his awesome My Hero workout gear because I will admit I need the workouts during Foodie Friday segments. I need to get on a hero workout again. If you want to pick up some awesome hero gear like this Bakugo sleeveless hoodie, check out the links below and enter CHEFPK for your very own discount. Let's make some fried chicken sandwiches after I just said I needed to like work out. Now the first thing we really need to do is get this chicken marinating. I'm using chicken thighs because chicken thighs, honestly, it's the best for fried chicken. For this, we're gonna need just a little bit of lemon juice. I'm actually only gonna use 1 lemon to squeeze because these were massive and super juicy. Now to your lemon juice, I'm actually gonna be adding in heavy cream. We're gonna use about 1 cup worth of heavy cream, or you could just use buttermilk for this. To be honest, I'm using heavy cream and lemon juice to kind of make my own buttermilk. We're also gonna add in 1 tablespoon worth of granulated garlic, a ½ tablespoon of chili powder or any kind of chili spice that you want, 1½ teaspoons worth of cayenne, and then a tablespoon worth of soy sauce. And because that heavy cream is super thick, we're also going to add in 1 cup worth of water just to kind of thin it out a little bit. I always do like tasting my marinades, and this marinade in particular did need a pinch of salt. So go ahead and give that a good stir just to make sure everything is nice and combined. Then we're going to clean up our chicken thighs. I just like to take some of the fat off of it because it doesn't really cook very nicely when it gets deep fried. So just go ahead and trim those up just a little bit. Once you have all your chicken thighs nice and trimmed, we're going to dump this straight into our marinade, and you want to make sure your chicken is totally covered. So go ahead and give those a good massage. Just make sure that that marinade covers all of your chicken. Throw a lid on this for about 2 to 3 hours. I went 2 hours on this, but you don't want to go overnight just because of the acid in that. So now while that chicken is marinated, you can do a couple of things. One of them is just going to be, I'm going to go work out. So after that nice little workout, we're actually going to make our chili spice. And for this, we're going to be using Szechuan peppercorns, a few arbol chilies, and a little bit of pasilla pepper as well. This is going to give it a nice range of smokiness, of that really nice numbing spice, and a little bit of heat from everything else. Add everything into your saute pan, and we're just going to gently bring this up to heat just to release some of those oils. All you're really looking for is for this to start smoking slightly before it starts burning, and once it starts smoking, you're ready to pull it off the heat. Remove Lucian from your workspace and hand him off to the wife just because he doesn't really need to put his face in these chilies. Go ahead and remove some of the bigger peppers first, unless you have a really nice spice grinder, which I'm just using this mortar and pestle and just grinding these by hand, so I did need to make room. You do want to grind these up until they come into a really nice powder-like consistency. They're not going to be totally fine, but that's okay because it's going to give it nice texture as well. Go ahead and dump that into a bigger bowl, and we're going to go ahead and grind up the rest of your chilies the same way. This does take a little bit of effort because I am doing it by hand, but like I said, feel free to use any kind of a burr grinder that you have or whatever the case is. The pasillas actually get this really cool flakiness to them, and I almost dropped my pestle right onto my foot. Go ahead and give these a good toss together just to make sure they're totally combined, and then we're going to add in 1/2 tablespoon worth of granulated garlic, 1/2 tablespoon of onion powder, and give those a good stir. Those will give it a nice range of spice. Now we're going to save 2 tablespoons of this mixture for later. Now in a nice sized sauce pot, we're going to add in about 1 tablespoon worth of oil, and then we're going to bloom some of our spices in some of that oil. We're going to cook these over a medium heat for just about a minute before we add in 2 cups worth of rice vinegar. The rice vinegar has a little bit more of a mellow flavor to it, and I really do like using it for this. Next, we're going to take about 1 tablespoon worth of cornstarch and just about 2 tablespoons worth of water, and we're going to be adding this slurry in slowly just to thicken up the sauce a little bit. We don't actually use all of it, just enough to get it nice and homogeneous. Once it comes back up to a simmer, you're ready to go. But we do have to do a final taste test before we really lock and load this sauce. Oh my god, that's so good. For the second sauce, we're going to be making a ranch spread. For this, we're going to use dill, chives, and parsley. If you don't have chives, you can use something like shallots as well. Go ahead and give your chives a nice little chop and throw those into your bowl. You're going to want a decent sized bowl for this just because we're going to be adding some stuff later. Give your parsley a nice chop. I like to actually process this quite a bit so that way there aren't too big of parsley leaves in your spread. It's going to be really weird if you're just chewing on parsley. Pop that in the same bowl with your chives, and then we're going to move on to the dill. Now for your dill, we do want to just use the dill leaves for this, so don't worry about processing the stems at all. You just want to trim this up just a little bit. Give this a nice chop like you did for the parsley and pop that right in. Now that we have our beautiful herbs, we're gonna also add just a little bit of onion. You can skip this part, but I mean, it's not ranch without a little bit of onion. So for this, we're gonna give this a really nice mince. I do like to make sure it's completely minced, not to where it's pureed or anything like that, but just enough to where there isn't a significant amount of onion in each bite. We're only using about a quarter of a total onion, so take half of what you cut, put that into your bowl, take the other half and save this for the fried rice during the live streams that we do every Monday, which you should totally subscribe and hit the bell for. Now we're gonna grate 2 cloves worth of garlic into this and then squeeze that other half of lemon into your bowl along with 1 cup worth of sour cream, and that like super high fat sour cream stuff. Give this a good stir and just make sure everything is totally combined. We're gonna season this with salt and a hefty amount of black pepper. I like a lot of black pepper in my ranch spreads. You do you. So after you give this a stir, you can assess how thick you want this to be. I'm gonna go ahead and add in 2 tablespoons worth of water to this, so it's just a little thinner than just straight up sour cream. Now you have your beautiful ranch spread, and probably good on Takubi's pizza that we're going to be making later. Oh, you remember that 1/2 of the onion that we didn't put away yet? We're going to go ahead and use this for our fried onions. Yes, the sandwich is going to get fried onions too. Cut these to about 1/4 inch of the thickness. You don't want to go too thin, otherwise it does get kind of weird in the fryer. You want to make sure you have a nice bite to these onions after they're done frying. We're going to soak this in 1 cup worth of milk, and make sure you just press this down with a fork or a spoon or whatever. You want to make sure the onions are totally coated and soaking. Now we're going to get our dry ingredients ready for our breading station. For this, I'm using about 2 cups worth of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon worth of your onion powder, 1 teaspoon worth of garlic, and then 2 tablespoons worth of cornstarch. The cornstarch is actually going to give this beautiful crispy texture that you really should use when you're breading things. Now the last piece of the puzzle we need to do is finish our sauce with about 1 tablespoon worth of cold butter. You want to mix this until it's completely emulsified and just beautiful. Now the bun choice or bread choice is totally up to you, but I love using these stecca buns from my local bakery. They're beautiful, they're yeasted, they're soft, they toast really nicely. We're just going to cut these guys in half so that they're ready to toast while we're getting everything deep fried. Now we also do need some pickles for this sandwich because otherwise it's not a chicken sandwich without the pickles. I like to slice my pickles long and thin. Yes, that sounded weird, but you're going to need to slice these long and thin for your sandwich so that they stack really nicely on this bread. This is only 3 pickles, I ate 1. Now that the Avengers have finally assembled, it is time to deep fry all of the things. We're going to start off with the onions first, so that way we're not putting in chicken before onions. Plus the onions are going to flavor the flour. It's going to be really nice for the chicken later. You do want to make sure that the onions are 100% coated with flour, so that way there aren't any exposed parts of the onion because they will burn once they hit the oil. Take your onions and drop them into 350-degree oil while you're being judged by Gandalf. I went ahead and cooked these for about 5 or 6 minutes at that 350-degree mark, just until they were G-bad, golden, brown, and delicious. You want to remove these and place these on a paper towel just to soak up any extra oil and salt them immediately coming out of the fryer. Now that the onions are done, we can move on to the chicken. But before we do the chicken, we're going to take some of that spice that we set aside and add this to the flour. Yes, this is going to be our spiced flour mixture, and that's why we wanted to save some of it earlier. Drop in a couple of pieces of chicken at a time and press them pretty hard into your flour. You want to make sure that all the crevices and all the cracks and all the bits and pieces are covered in flour. This again is super important because the flour protects the chicken from the oil. You really do want to make sure you have that nice crust on there. I breaded all of my chicken ahead of time, so all 5 pieces were sitting in flour, and it'll be totally fine. It's not going to hurt it if it sits in here for 5 or 10 minutes. Once your oil is back up to 350 degrees, drop in a couple of pieces of chicken at a time. I noticed that my oil was a little bit too hot, so to cool down the oil, I actually just popped in all 5 pieces of chicken and just went with it. I do like to agitate the chicken just a little bit, not enough to hurt the crust, but just to make sure that they aren't touching each other too much and cooking together. While your chicken is getting nice and G-bad, we're going to go ahead and toast the buns. And now right before G-bad happens, we want to actually remove the chicken from the oil and let them rest for about 5 or 6 minutes because yes, we're going to double fry these. If your oil had cooled down like mine did, bring it back up to that 350 mark for the double fry. When it's ready to go, drop all 5 pieces of chicken back into your fryer, and we're going to go ahead and fry these up for just a few more minutes until they get that really nice golden brown color. This is what I really want them to look like right before I pull them out because they will get a little bit more color out of the fryer as well, and we have our beautiful golden brown and delicious chicken. I go ahead and hit this with a little bit more of that spice just to give it that crust, you know? Now to finally assemble the sandwich, take your nice toasty bread and put on a nice spread on the bottom and of course on the top bun. You want to make sure you give them a little bit of love on each side. Then layer your pickles. I went ahead and used 4 slices of pickles for this. And look at her trying to be sneaky, like she doesn't think I know what's happening in this kitchen. Now for the sauce, take all of your sauce and put it in a bowl that's deep enough to add your chicken into, and I just drop it in there. Just drop that bad boy straight in there. Get that coverage. Look at it. It's making my mouth water looking at this again. Take a picture for the gram and place that right on top of your pickles. After you exclaim in approval with how good this is going to be, add a pile of your onions right on top, followed by a little dab of your ranch dip. It's totally optional, but you're going to do it anyways. Now for the top bun, give it a gentle caressing press, and this is your Firebird. Bakugo's Firebird. But that's not all. We really need to see this cross section because that will tell us everything about the sandwich. And you know what it's telling us right now? Eat me. That sounded really bad. But I don't disagree. You gotta try the whole thing. There it is, guys. The Firebird from Crack Shack, almost Crack Shack. This is kind of our own take on it, but I wanted to make something that I feel like Bakugo would have wanted, and it is a spicy chicken sandwich. I'm so hungry. This looks so good. I mean, look at that cross section. Cheers. Oh my god, and there's a heat. What? It's like all at the end. Oh god. It's crunchy. Has that beautiful like vinegar taste in it. And creaminess from the sauce. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, that's hot. That is not building up for you. I'm dying right now. But you have a high heat tolerance.
You are weak.
Yes. What's your favorite spicy dish? This, honestly, mapo tofu is my favorite spicy, maybe one of my favorite spicy dishes, but this is so close because it has that mapo tofu Szechuan peppercorn flavor behind it. Do we have milk? My name is Chef PK, bringing anime and video game food to life. Get subscribed and remember, keep playing with your food. Please send milk to the P.O. box.
Tap when I speak all capital speech to the cut up in the rapture.
You want these?
So I line with the phrase game. Let's take a break, been a long day. Hit your line with your fall through with the light sticks. Maybe help me spark the ideas.
Bye-bye.